The director, the rhythmic echo of heels against the gleaming floor of Reagan National Airport, sounded more like a metronome than a march. There was no entourage, no agents flanking her, no cameras following her. Just Dr. Evelyn Rhodes, 53 years old, recently appointed director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, cutting through the terminal with the kind of quiet command that didn't scream power, but whispered it with conviction. It was 9:38 p.m. The D.C. air outside clung to the skin with its early summer humidity, and even within the cooled walls of the terminal, it stuck. Evelyn had just landed from Seattle. Red-eye intelligence briefings, black coffee that tasted more like coal than caffeine, and the ever-growing weight of classified information had left her longing for three things: her driver a long shower, and maybe few hours of sleep before another morning filled with intel and noise. She didn't move quickly, but she moved with purpose. The suit she wore, charcoal gray with a tailored cut, wasn't designed for style. It was about presence, about clarity. Her shoulder-length salt and pepper hair was drawn back into a no-nonsense twist. In her left hand was a leather briefcase. It never left her side. Inside were clearance-level documents so sensitive, most of the country wouldn't believe they existed. As she passed Gate 37, her eyes scanned the concourse calmly. It wasn't paranoia, just habit. Two airport police officers caught her eye, both white, both mid-30s. One leaned toward the other and gave a small nod in her direction. She saw it, didn't acknowledge it, didn't change stride, but she registered it. "Excuse me, ma'am." The voice landed from behind her left shoulder. She stopped, turned. Two officers approached. "You traveling alone tonight?" Her answer was simple. "Yes." "Can we ask where you're headed?" A pause, not from fear, but from calculation. "Is there a problem?" The taller one answered, voice thick with a Virginia drawl. The other just stood, thumb resting a little too close to the snap of his holster. "You match a description." "What description?" "Middle-aged black woman. Gray suit. Briefcase. Possibly carrying sensitive materials." Evelyn blinked. "You mean a federal employee heading home from work?" "Ma'am," the first said, stepping forward, "we're going to need to see what's in that case." She gripped it tighter. "I don't think you understand who I am." "Try me. I'm Dr. Evelyn Rhodes, director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation." There was a beat. The shorter one snorted. "You got ID to back that up?" Evelyn reached into the inside of her jacket, pulled out a small leather wallet, and flipped it open. Inside, a federally issued identification card, gold embossed seal, high clearance stripe, and a photograph that was unmistakably her. They didn't touch it, didn't even lean forward. Instead, the taller one scoffed. "You can't just flash something and expect us to believe it. Cameras are already out." A teenage girl with purple earbuds had paused, eyes wide. A woman pushing a stroller slowed, concern etched on her face. Someone began filming. "I'm not flashing anything," Evelyn said evenly. "I'm following protocol." "Well, tonight, protocol's not your call. We'll be taking you downtown for questioning. You can explain yourself there." Evelyn didn't flinch, but her jaw set. She took in the onlookers, the phones, the growing silence around them. Her next words were precise. "Call your supervisor. Or better yet, call the Homeland Security liaison." They didn't move. Instead, one reached for her case. "Do not touch that. You have no authority. Hand where I can see them," the other barked. The command rang out like a slap. Harsh, loud, public. She was surrounded now. They didn't drag her, but they took her arms, pulled them behind her. Cold metal pressed in her wrists. The briefcase hit the floor with a flat, echoing thud. Gasps. Phones raised higher. "I'd advise you to stop," Evelyn said, breath steady. "Ma'am, we're just doing our job." "No, you're not. You have the right to remain silent." He mumbled it like even he didn't believe it. "You're detaining a federal officer on U.S. soil unlawfully. You're making this harder than it has to be," the younger one said, reading her name badge for the first time. His fingers hovered over her credentials. He flipped them over once. Then again. Ryan," he whispered to his partner. This looks real." Ryan snatched the ID, studied the seal, the photograph, the clearance stripe, then looked back at her. "Where'd you get this?" "I didn't get it," Evelyn replied. "It was issued to me after 28 years in law enforcement. The same law enforcement that probably trained the people who trained you." For the first time, they hesitated. "You could have just said." "I did," she said sharply. "You didn't care." The TSA was approaching now. So were more onlookers. The murmur in the terminal grew louder. A voice cracked through one of their radios. "Terminal B, code 542. Déchets en route. 2 agents inbound." Ryan stiffened. "What the hell is a 542? "High-level personnel mishandling," the other replied. Now they understood. One fumbled with his keys. "This is just protocol, ma'am." "Stop saying ma'am like it cancels out what you just did." He tried to hand her the briefcase. She didn't take it. "You don't touch classified documents without clearance." A moment of breathless stillness settled over the terminal. Then another voice cut in. "Excuse me, you had exactly is going on here?" A black man in his 60s stepped forward. Worn denim jacket. Steady eyes. "She says she's the FBI director," he continued. "And I know for a fact she is. I watched her testify on C-SPAN last week." Ryan opened his mouth. The man raised a hand. "No, don't talk. Just listen. Y'all pulled her down like she shoplifted a damn neck pillow." Now, a Latina TSA supervisor in uniform arrived. "Ma'am, I'm so sorry," she said quietly to Evelyn. "We had no notice of this." "You don't need to apologize for their failure," Evelyn replied. "You detained a federal official without clearance," the TSA woman said, turning on the officers. She refused to comply. "No," Evelyn said, her voice rising just enough to carry. "I complied. I identified myself, showed credentials. I asked for verification. They refused." The crowd was still, phones still rolling. Then came 2 men in dark suits. One wore an earpiece. The other flashed a badge. "Department of Homeland Security." "Director Rhodes," the lead agent said. "Are you all right?" "I am." "They aren't." He turned to the officers. "Stand down. Right now." Security footage was requested. Body cam data. Internal Affairs was notified. The officers were suspended, pending investigation. Back in the black SUV, Evelyn sat in silence. "Ma'am, are you hurt?" her agent asked gently. "No, but I'm tired." That night, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Director Rhodes?" the voice said. "This is Judge Michael Tillman from Arlington. I saw the video. Just wanted you to know some of us saw it for what it was." "Thank you, Your Honor. And if it matters, my grandson said you're the first public official he's ever respected." Evelyn exhaled. "It matters more than you know." The next morning, at exactly 9 a.m., Evelyn stood behind the podium of the FBI's press room in Washington, D.C. No notes. No teleprompter. "You've seen the footage," she began. "Let's not waste time. I was detained last night at Reagan Airport. Questioned. Ignored. Handcuffed. Despite clear identification. Despite compliance. This isn't the first time something like this has happened to me. It may not be the last. But it wasn't just about me. It was about how easy it still is in 2025 to see a black woman in a suit and not imagine FBI, but imagine threat. I don't want revenge. I want reform." The regret they felt didn't come from conscience. It came from consequence. Later that day, she met with the 2 officers. No press. No agents. Just her. In a small DOJ conference room. She laid out a photo. Me, age 30. First day at Quantico. Another. My first arrest. Another. My father. A civil rights attorney who believed systems could change. And yesterday, she said, "You told him he was wrong. You assumed I didn't belong. But power doesn't look like one thing. It doesn't wear one face. You're allowed to make mistakes. But if you wear a badge, you're required to rise above them." Then she left, and they sat in silence. By noon, headlines flooded every network. FBI director delivers silent reckoning. Evelyn returned to work. No interviews. No panel appearances. She wasn't interested in being a symbol. She was building something bigger. Within weeks, DOJ launched a national training initiative. New identification protocols. bias training, tactical discretion reform. Led by her. One letter arrived. No return address. I thought I was the good guy. After watching what you did, I realize I still have work to do. I am ashamed. But I'm grateful. She kept it in her desk. Months later, she greeted a group of high school civics students. You really shut those officers down, one boy said. No, she smiled. I made them see me, and that's all anyone really wants. That night, alone in her office, she glanced at a photo on her desk. Age 23, standing on the steps outside Quantico. Her mother's voice rang in her memory. You really kicked the damn door down. She had, and she was still standing. Click. Her heels echoed as she stepped into the hallway. Director of the FBI, and no one could take that from her. Not anymore.